In today's tutorial, we'll be looking at the Better Call Dev Smart Contract Explorer, how to use it to see what's going on within your own smart contract on the blockchain, and also how to interact with your own smart contracts on the blockchain using the Smart Contract Explorer from Better Call Dev. Now, what are smart contract explorers? Smart contract explorers are essentially like search engines that allows us to view operations and transactions that are happening within a smart contract on the blockchain. And in today's tutorial, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Better Call Dev Smart Contract Explorer, which was built specifically to look at smart contracts on the Tezos blockchain. Let's get into it. So if you navigate to bettercall.dev, you'll be brought to this UI here, to this interface, which is the Better Call Dev Smart Contract Explorer. And we're going to simply walk through how to use this Explorer to see what's going on within your own smart contract that has been deployed to the Tezos blockchain. So I'm going to pull up a multi-sig contract here that I built a couple of weeks ago, and we're going to see what's going on. So usually when you deploy your smart contract for the very first time, you're going to see something down here called origination, right? So once you deploy your contract, the operation on that contract is going to be called origination. And you're going to see that down here. So it's usually the very, very first operation that you would see on your smart contract. When you come to the Better Call Dev interface, when you put in a smart contract address, now on Tezos, smart contract addresses always begin with the letters KT, while wallet addresses always start with the letters TZ, right? So if you see any address that starts with the letters KT, you already know that that's a smart contract address. Now, if we come in here, it tells us that this contract is on the ghostnet. So this would always, this breadcrumb would always let us know whether this contract is deployed on the ghostnet or on the mainnet. Over here, we can see the number of operations that has been performed on this contract. So we can see 30 operations here. We can also look at the storage of the smart contract. So the storage is typically what is being stored, or the data that is being stored on chain as a result of interacting with the smart contract. And then we have this tab here, which is the code. We have interact, we have tokens, we have fork, we have statistics, and we have details. So we're going to walk through each of these tabs one after the other. But let's start off with operations first. Now, like I mentioned earlier, when you deploy a contract for the very first time on Tezos, that is known as origination. Once you click on any operation within the UI, you can see more details about that operation. So we can see the source of the origination. So basically, this is the wallet address of the user who has deployed the smart contract on chain. This is the contract address of the contract that has been originated. We can also see how much gas has been consumed. We can also see the size of storage that the contract is using up on the blockchain. And then we can also see other types of information about the smart contract that we've deployed on chain. Now, I'm going to scroll up a little bit and we're going to look over here. This contract has been active since 13th of January 2024 up to the 12th of February 2024. So this basically covers the time period from when the contract was deployed till the last time the contract was interacted with. So if you want to know when last someone called an entry point on the smart contract, you can simply look up here at the was active section on Better Call Dev. The balance would also show you how much money or how much Tez is stored within the smart contract. Deployed by will show you the wallet address of the user who has deployed the smart contract on chain. And then we can also see how much storage this smart contract is now taking up on the blockchain. So if we continue down to operations, as you can see here, Better Call Dev will show us when this operation occurred, what kind of operation it was, if any Tez was involved in that operation. So whether we're depositing funds into the contract or funds are being removed from the smart contract, we would always be able to see that here. We'll also be able to see the total cost or the gas fees for that operation. And lastly, Better Call Dev simply has some characters here to help them provide more information about the operation. Now, this contract that we're looking at here is a simple multi-sig smart contract that I deployed a couple of weeks ago. And that contract has got a number of endpoints. And if we want to see what endpoints this smart contract has, we can simply go under interact. Now, if you go under interact, you'll be able to see the entry points that are contained within the smart contract. For this contract, we've got the deposit entry point, we've got the submit proposal entry point, and we've got the vote on proposal entry point. And in here, within the interact tab, we can actually interact with the entry points. Right, so if I wanted to deposit some funds into this smart contract, I could simply click on execute. And once I click on wallet, it's going to load up the temp wallet interface or any wallet of my choice that I would like to use to interact with this smart contract. And I could also do the same for the other entry points as well. So we have the submit proposal entry point here. And the submit proposal entry point takes in two parameters, which is the payment amount and then the receiver, right? So if I put the payment amount here, I can decide, and this is specific to the smart contract, by the way. But the same principles apply when you're dealing with other contracts that also have entry points that take in parameters. Now, for this smart contract in particular, I can pass in a payment amount that I think the final recipient of the tokens should be paid. And then I can put the wallet address of the final recipient as well. And then I can simply click on execute, click on wallet, and that's going to load up Beacon Wallet, which will allow me to connect to my own wallet address in order to interact with the smart contract. So that's how you see the entry points that are within the smart contract, and then also how to interact with those entry points. The next thing we're going to look at is going to be storage. On the storage tab, we can see all of the data that a smart contract is storing on the blockchain, right? And as you can see here, we've got a number of items that we're storing on the blockchain. So we've got the active proposal ID, we've got members. So these are members of our multisig. We've got proposal keys as well. So these are all values that we're using within our smart contract and we're keeping track of within our smart contract. So this is all stored on chain. And we've got proposals here, which is a type of big map. And if we click on big map, we'll be able to see more details about what is going on within that big map. So if I expand this, yeah, you can see what's going on within the big map even more. So we've got payment amount, the receiver, and then the voters for that proposal. So the proposals are a type of big map, and we can expand that data and see what is contained within that big map as well. And if you also want to see the types of the data that we're collecting in our storage, if you look to the right here, you can see that active proposal ID is a type of integer, and you can see that this is an integer. So members is a set of addresses, so essentially an array of addresses. And as you can see here, we've got pretty much an array or a set of addresses. Proposal keys is a type of integer as well. It's a set of integer. And if you look at it, that's pretty much what we've got here as well. And then proposals is the type of big map. As you can see, we've got proposals here, the type of big map. And then we've got required votes as a natural number, which is also what we've got here. Within our proposals big map, each proposal also has a type, right? So each proposal will take in a payment amount, a receiver, a set of voters, and whether or not voting has been completed on that particular proposal. And all of those types are also covered over here as well. So let's go on. So on the Tezos blockchain, when we write our contracts using a high-level language like JS-LIGO or Camel-LIGO or SmartPy, all of that gets compiled down into Michelson code, which eventually runs on the blockchain. And if I go under the code tab here, I can see essentially the Michelson code that is being run on the chain. And I can essentially look through this and check that some of the things that I'm basically trying to understand what the person who has written the original contract was trying to do. So basically, any smart contract that you deploy to the blockchain, anyone can go in to audit the code or look at the code that you've written on the blockchain. Now we've gone over the interact tab, and next we're going to go into the tokens tab. I'm going to come back to this tokens tab later on. Let's go to the fork tabs. Now on the fork tab essentially allows you to make a copy of this smart contract the way it is and then originate it from your own wallet address that you control. So if you see a smart contract on the blockchain that you like, you can simply take that smart contract and deploy your own copy of that smart contract. As you can see here, this smart contract actually allows us to store proposals, allows us to store proposal keys, and then also members as well. And when we fork it, we can actually change all of this information and add the information that we want to put on the chain, right? So for members of this multisig, we can actually click on add, and we can add our own list of members who we want to be a part of our multisig on chain. This is also what makes writing smart contracts very interesting. So you can see a smart contract that you like what it does, and you can make a fork of that or a copy of that contract and change out some of the values and essentially make it yours and use that on the blockchain. The next tab that we have is the statistics tab. So the statistics tab shows us how many contract calls have been made to these smart contracts. So both read and write operations, we can keep track of all of them. Also the number of unique users or the number of unique wallet addresses that have called these contracts. We can also see the total amount of gas that this contract has consumed, and then also the number of Tez that has been burned by this contract. And finally, we've got the details tab. The details tab shows you essentially other contracts that have the exact same code, but were deployed differently, right? So I might have deployed the smart contract from the same wallet address, but I might have deployed it different times. Better Call Dev is smart enough to know and index all of the different smart contracts that essentially have the same code base and show them to us here using the Better Call Dev UI. Now, lastly, we're going to look at an FA2 smart contract, so we can take a look at what we can find under this tokens tab if we have an FA2 contract that has a list of tokens within the contract. But just before we go into that, you can see that under here with network, we can see what network this contract is being deployed from. So whether or deployed to. So whether it's the ghostnet or the mainnet, we'll be able to see that information here. So I'm going to pull up this smart contract that was deployed to the mainnet. This is an FA2 type of smart contract. And you can see that Better Call Dev correctly tags this an FA2 contract up here, right? So what we're going to do now, if I go under tokens, now you can see all of the different tokens that have been deployed to this contract, or essentially that are stored within this contract, right? So we can see this token here. We can see the artifact URI, which is essentially a link to IPFS. You can see the description, you can see the display URI, you can see the name, the symbol, and the thumbnail URI as well. So these are metadata that are being stored about this token within this smart contract. So that's how you use Better Call Dev, which is a smart contract explorer for the Tezos blockchain, to view operations that have occurred within this contract. Also, how you interact with the contract as well. Also, how you see the balance within the contract when the contract was deployed. Also, how you make a copy of the contract as well to use for yourself. So next time you deploy your own contract on Tezos, make sure to use the Better Call Dev Explorer to interact with it and make sure that it works as you want before you begin to write the front-end part of your application or of your dApp. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and see you on the next one.